All right, let's get practicing in QuickBooks Online. Grab the link below in the description so that you can follow along. All right, here we are in the QBO gym. And the QBO gym is a place where we have numerous exercises that simulate real life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Every single month, we come out with new exercises for you to practice and complete, and we break it down for you into 4 different sections. So today we are going to be working in the November warm-ups section. At the top here is a little animated video to tell you what's going on in Craig's world that month. He is our fictitious business owner. Further down is an interactive quiz that relates to the video up above. And then further down are all of the exercises within this section. So today we are going to practice processing the bank feeds. You will need to be in the same session of the sample company that you did the previous exercises in. If you have not completed those yet, go ahead and click on the link on the top right corner of your screen. That'll take you to the first exercise, complete that one and all the ones following until you get back to this one. They all build on each other, so it's really important that you start with that first one. So our scenario today is that after you have input all the sales and expense transactions, it's time to process the bank feeds. This means comparing what went into and out of the bank and making sure that there is a correct record of it in QBO. So Craig mentioned that he would like to start using his MasterCard more so that he can manage his cash better. You may want to put this account first instead of the checking when you are working on the banking screen on his QBO account. So let's go ahead and take care of that first. First, we need to get back to the dashboard. So we're going to hover over dashboards and then click on Get Things Done. So here I am in the sample company. This is the last page that I left off of from the previous exercise. Over here on the left-hand side is dashboards. Hover over that and then select Get Things Done. And then over on the bank accounts tile, we want to click on the pencil icon. So that's over here. Here's bank accounts and it shows the checking, savings, MasterCard, and Visa. Click on the pencil icon and you'll see we are now making that editable. So we want to click on the MasterCard one and hold the mouse button down until we drag it all the way to the top and then release it. So go ahead and click on MasterCard, hold down your mouse button, move it all the way until you see this little blue line up at the top and then release it and you'll see that it's now MasterCard Checking Savings Visa. And then we simply just need to click on the blue Save button so that it is saved for us. And there we go. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and start processing the new transactions in the MasterCard account. To do that, we're going to, in the bank accounts tile, click on MasterCard. So go ahead and just click on this and it'll take us directly to our bank feed, which is great. If you get any pop-ups that show up, go ahead and click out of them. It's just QBO giving you a little tour and giving you a little information about what this area in QBO is all about. So click on the X to get out of it. So in a real life scenario, you would want to double check to make sure that what QBO thinks is a match is actually matched correctly to QBO transactions. Since you are the one that entered the transactions in the first place, you can usually do this fairly easily with a quick glance. For this exercise, we're going to assume that everything that matches or showing as matched is correct. So that's what we need to do next. We need to take a look at the bank transactions to see what QBO thinks is a match. So for the 3 that it shows, for the 3 transactions with 1 match found, go ahead and click on the checkbox next to them. And when the black bar appears, go ahead and click Accept. So here we are. If you scroll down, you see there's 1, 2, 3, and you know that because there's a green box that says 1 match found. Click on the check boxes next to each one of those lines, 3 total, and then click on the Accept button. And now those have all been matched. So we have 4 left, 2 of which seem to be for Squeaky Clean Car Wash, and they are for the exact same amount. So we can infer that they are for 2 different car washes on different days. To the right of the first Squeaky Clean Car Wash transaction, we're going to click on View, and then we're going to match it based off of the date. So let's go ahead and do that. Here is that first one here. Click on the blue View link next to it. And if you see once it opens up, you will see that they are for the exact same amount, the exact same vendor, but for two different dates. So you want to have the radio button next to the one that matches this date. Now, granted, know that when you are doing this exercise, the sample company is always changing dates. So what you see on my screen right here may be a little bit different on yours. That's okay. The point is to match whatever is here in the bank feed with the correct transaction here. So that happens to be this top one here. The radio button is selected, so I know that it's the correct one. Go ahead and click on the green match button. And you will see that when we did that, it automatically matched the other squeaky clean car wash transaction because we eliminated the other one and matched that one. So go ahead and click on the blue match button as well here. And now we are down to 2 transactions. All right, so Craig told you that Amazon sent the wrong software and he returned it. That return credit is showing in the bank feeds and we can just add it from here. Note that in a real life scenario, Amazon would have been set up as a vendor during the initial purchase. In the sample company, however, you'll have to add it as well. So we're going to click on the Amazon transaction and then under the vendor customer field, we're going to select plus add new. Okay, so don't click on this add thing. You just click somewhere here on the line so that it expands for you. And then in the vendor customer, click on the arrow and then select plus add new, and the profile will appear for you. Now, because it's showing as money in, it's automatically trying to select it as a customer, but we actually want it to be a vendor. So click at the top here and then change this to vendor. And then the display name is going to be Amazon. So type in Amazon and then we're going to save it. So Amazon, and then click on the green save button. And now that has been added as a vendor. So in the accounts field, we are going to select office expenses, and then in the memo field, we're going to type refund for wrong software item. It's always nice to have a little bit of extra explanation about what something is for. So having a memo is always a good idea. Click into the account and start typing in office for office expenses. Go ahead and click on that. And then the memo we said again was refund for wrong software item. I'm going to highlight over this and then copy it. If you're on a PC like me, it would be Control C, and then you would do Control V to paste it. Whatever you are using, if you're on a Mac, you would have different keys to type, but you could do it the same thing. Highlight over it, copy it, and then paste it. So the memo, I'm going to paste it right here. And then I'm simply going to click on the green add button. And now that one has been added and we are down to one last one for Lara's lamination. So this one must be one of those expenses that Craig had lost the receipt for. When you ask, he says that it was for some yard signs that he purchased. So we're going to click on it. We're going to click add right there. Oh, but wait, before you did that, by clicking on the ad, you did not have a chance to change the category from uncategorized expense to advertising. You also did not have a chance to assign the payee, so it's okay. You can easily undo this mistake. We're going to click on categorized so that we can see it, which is right here. It's that center tab. Click on that one. And if you scroll down, all the ones that were just matched are showing here. And here is that Lara's lamination, the one that we didn't want to do. So we're going to click on the undo link on that line. There it is, and click on undo. And now that one has been removed and it has moved over into this for review. So go ahead and click on that tab, that for review, and there is Lara's lamination again. So this time we're going to click anywhere on Lara's lamination row except for the add button. So go ahead and click on the row in order to expand it and get more information there. So you'll note that the bank detail for this transaction says Lara's lamination business card. Now, business card here does not refer to what Craig actually purchased. It's just how the transaction came through the bank. This is likely how Lara initially registered her business with her merchant. Perhaps at the time she only sold business cards, or perhaps she registered something like Laura's Lamination business cards and sundries or something like that, and it's got caught off. And so it's not uncommon for the bank detail to not be an exact match with the vendor. So we're going to copy Laura's lamination from the bank detail and then paste it into the vendor customer field and then click on the plus add new. So just highlight over this Laura's lamination, copy it, and then here click in the arrow and click, I'm sorry, you can actually just paste it in there and then type in plus add new so that it is showing up here as a vendor card. We are simply going to go ahead and save that. If for whatever reason you had more information on a particular vendor or customer, this just is a general rule of thumb. You always want to try to put as much information on their vendor or customer card just so you have it in QBO. Always a good idea. We don't have anything for this one, so just go ahead and click on the green save button. And that has now been saved. And now we are going to change the account field to be advertising. And then in the memo field, we're going to type yard signs. So let's change the account here to advertising. If you start typing in advertising, it will show up for you. And then the memo here we said was going to be yard signs. And that's what we have here. So now we simply just need to click on the add button. Click on the green add button and you will see that we are all set with this account. We have no more transactions to review, so the MasterCard is done. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and move on to the checking account. So to get into the checking account, we need to click on the checking tile. That is the middle one right here. And if you notice before how we had made at the very beginning of this exercise, usually it's in the checking savings MasterCard order, but when we adjusted it on the dashboard, that's where it is changing it right here. So we can see the first one, MasterCard checking savings. It may not seem like a really big deal here because we only have 3, but if in real life you have clients that have 5, 7, 10 accounts that you're going to have to be looking at, the ones that are used the most, it's nice to have that towards the beginning so you don't have to constantly be scrolling through. So just a little tip if you're going to be having a client that has numerous ones, that's an easy way to make it easier for you as the bookkeeper. So we'll start again by looking at what bank transactions QBO thinks has found a matching transaction for. This time, however, we will use a filter to narrow this list down. To do that, we're going to click on all transactions and then select potential match. So as you can see, there's 25 different ones here. So let's narrow it down and make it a little bit easier for us to see by clicking on this all transactions. And then you will see potential match as an option. Click on that. And now we should only see ones that have either 1 match found or 2 matches found. So let's deal with the transactions that have more than 1 match right now. There's 3 on the list, one for Pam Sites, one for Books by Bessie, and then for Squeaky Clean Car Wash. So let's start with the one for Pam Sites. In her row, we're going to click on the blue view. So here is Pam Sites, and as you can see, Pam Sites, Books by Bessie, and then Squeaky Clean Car Wash. So let's go ahead and click on the view button first to see what's happening. And this matching records found, there's 2 different ones that QBO thinks is the match. And that's because QBO will do a search based on the amount, not the actual vendor name. So that's why there's 2 for $75. And so that's why it's trying to find which one it is. Well, we know that it is for Pam Sites because you can see the bank detail showing here and the bank detail or this transaction is showing the same name. If you also notice the date here is matching the date here. Remember in the sample company, dates are different. So yours might be a little bit different, but whatever is matching here is matching here. So we are good here to have that selected. So click on the green match button. And that one has been matched. And you will notice now that when we did that match, the one for Books by Bessie is automatically a match found as well because we were able to eliminate the one for Pam Sites. And so now the one for Books by Bessie is found as one match as well. So now we just need to look at the Squeaky Clean Car Wash transaction the same way that we handled the Pam Sites one. So go ahead on that row and click on the view link. So here is Squeaky Clean Car Wash. There's the view. Click on that, and we will see again two appear. Now this time the amount is the same and the vendor is the same. So the way to infer which one is the correct one, we would again look at the date that is on the bank feed and see which one it matches for the records that are provided to us. As we can see, this first one is matching up with that date, and so that is the one that we want to select for matching. In a real life scenario, though, you would want to investigate what that other transaction is for later. So let's go ahead and match that one. Select it correctly, click on the green match button. And now that has been matched for us. So now we should only have single matches left on the list so we can accept them in a match, all the matches in a batch. So to do that, we're going to click on the checkbox at the top of the column to select all. And then when the black bar appears, we're going to click accept. So if you want to just double check here, you can tell that only one match is found by seeing all of the green boxes. You scroll down, you see all of them are one match found, which is great. So click on the box at the top here. It selects all of them. And then you're going to click on the black accept button. And there we go. Now it says that it can't find any transactions to match your search, and that's because we have the filter on still. So to see all of the rest of the transactions that have not been matched yet, we need to remove it by simply clicking on that potential match X. So let's go ahead and do that. When you click on that, you will see now that we have 5 transactions left here. So, the Books by Bessie transaction is a pre-authorization. Sometimes banks test the connection between or before actually transferring the money. So, in the sample company, we can make this assumption because the transaction is in the future. In a real life scenario, the bank detail would often include something like pre-auth. So we are going to exclude it for now, and then when it comes across for real, we'll be able to match it. If you process both transactions, both this one and then the one that would come in later, you run the risk of having a duplicate. So let's go ahead and click on the checkbox next to Books by Bessie and then exclude it. So click on that one right there, and then we're going to click on exclude so that now we only have 4 transactions. We'll take a look at the transactions that say a rental. After speaking with Craig, you learn that he rented some equipment from jobs he did at Paulson Medical Supplies and video games by Dan, and they'll need to be billed for it. So the first day was split evenly between the two. So let's do that one first. We're going to click on the oldest A rental transaction. So that is the one here at the bottom. You can tell by the dates. It's the oldest one for $800. Just click anywhere on that line, not the ad, anywhere on that line though, just to expand it. Then we're going to click on split, which is right here. And then you will have this appear for you. So now QBO just wants us to give them more information about how to actually split the transaction. So in the Pay To field, we're going to select Ellis Equipment Rental. You'll note that although the bank transaction says a rental, you would know from past experience that this actually refers to Ellis. As previously mentioned with Lara's lamination, sometimes the bank detail is not the exact the exact match to the vendor. So let's change the Pay To Ellis, click into it and start typing in Ellis for Ellis Equipment Rental. And then in the category field for both rows, we're going to select equipment rental. You want to make sure that you select the one that is a sub-account of job expenses. So if I click into this and I start typing in equipment, if I spell it right, there we go. There's a couple of different ones here. You want to make sure that it's the one that's the sub-account of the job expenses, which is what is asked for right here. So this one, you can kind of see it starts to say sub-account of job. This is the one that we want. Go ahead and click on that one, and you will see if you scroll over, you can see job expenses right there. We need to do the same thing for the other field because they are both categorized the same way. So click into this. Again, start typing in equipment. And then here is that job expense the category or account with the equipment rental being the sub account. In the description field for both of them, we're going to put half day rental. So click into the first one, put half day rental, and then do the same for the one below it, half day rental. Great. And then the customers, as we mentioned before, one's for Paulson Medical Supplies, and then the other one is for Video Games by Dan. So click into it and you can start typing in Paulson. There it is. And then for the other one, again, it's Video Games by Dan. Great, so they are both there. We're going to make this, you're going to click on the billable checkbox. So go ahead and do that for both of them. And then for this one, it is an even split. So it is going to be $400 for each row because 800 divided by 2 is 400. So do 400 there. And then as you're making the changes, you can see that it's here too. So just know that you don't necessarily always have to do all the math. QBO definitely helps as well. So now we have split everything evenly. We've put all the information in for QBO. So now we simply need to apply and accept. Click on the green Apply and Accept button. And now that transaction has been categorized and added for us. But now we have the other ones. The second day, Craig rented the equipment for another half day to Paulson Medical Supplies and a full day for Video Games by Dan. Again, they will need to be billed for it, which is why we had selected that billable checkbox before. So again, let's split that one. So click anywhere on the remaining A rental expense line. We'll address the income row in the next step. And then we're going to click on split. So click on the next oldest one right here. Okay, and then you're going to click on split. So it's the one for $1,200. Once again, we are going to put in all of the information similar to what we did before with the previous step. So again, it was paid to Ellis Equipment. It is for the equipment rental. Yes. So again, put in equipment rental as a sub-account of job expenses. Do the same thing for this one as well. Oh, I did not spell equipment correctly. And there we go. The description here is a little bit different. The description for Video Games by Dan this time is going to be a full day rental. So again, that first one is a half day rental. The second one is a full day rental. And again, the customer for this first one was Paulson Medical Supplies. So click or type in their name. And then the other one was for Video Games by Dan. And then again, this is billable, so we need to make sure that they are both marked as billable. And then the one for the full day for Video Games by Dan, that one is going to be $800. So click on the billable here for both of them. $800 for Video Games by Dan. And as you can see, when you hit the tab key after you do the 800, you will notice here that there is a difference of 400. So you know that the remaining part of that transaction is 400 for Paulson. If you hit the tab key over, you will now see that the difference is 0. And QBO will now allow you to apply and accept. If you noticed before, when it wasn't making a 0, when the difference was not 0, it was not letting us select anything. But now that it has, now we are good. So go ahead and click on the green Apply and Accept button. And now that transaction has been categorized and we got 2 left here. It turned out that Craig only needed the equipment for Video Games by Dan for a couple extra hours the second day, so they agreed to refund $200. Since this is going to be added to Dan's invoice, we need to be sure to record it in a way that will remove it. So we will be doing this using a deposit transaction. To get that bank deposit, click on the plus new button and then select bank deposit. So up on the top right or left corner, click on plus new. Under other, select bank deposit. And this will appear for you. Now, underneath the add funds to this deposit grid, we're going to click on track returns for customers. So that is, if you scroll down a little bit, here's that add funds to this deposit section. Click on track returns for customers. Now we need to complete this area. Under the received from, we're going to select Ellis Equipment Rental. So receive fund, click into it 2 times, and then type in Ellis for Ellis Equipment Rental. The account again is that equipment rental, that job expenses equipment rental. Note that this will be the same category that we used for all of the previous expenses. So click into it and you can go ahead and start typing in equipment. And again, there is that sub account of job expenses. Click on that. The description here we're going to add as early return credit. So click in there and type in early return credit. There we go. The payment method is going to be ACH. Note that since the money appears to have gone directly into back into Craig's checking account, it is likely an ACH payment. So let's record that there. Click on the arrow and then select ACH. The amount we said again was $200. So put in there 200. You can hit the tab key over. It is going to be marked as billable, so go ahead and select billable. And then the customer is Video Games by Dan. So click in there and start typing in Video Games by Dan, select that. And now we have completed that line. So now we just simply need to save and close. So click on the little arrow down here and then save and close it. And now that has been saved for us. And you will notice that when we did that, there is now a match found here. And the payee is showing as Video Games by Dan, which is fine. It's not Ellis Equipment, and that's because this is the money. This is who the money is going back to. So everything looks great. All we need to do now is just click on the match. So click on that. And now we are down to one transaction left. So the final one is for Hicks Hardware. This is another one of the receipts. This is another one of those receipts that Craig has lost. He tells you that he purchased 8 sprinkler pipes and a hammer. Sprinkler pipes are an inventory product, so you won't be able to add this expense directly from the bank feeds. You'll have to create the expense and then match it. You'll need to remember that the amount is $24.38. You'll also need to remember the date of the bank fee transaction. Note that the dates in the sample company are always changing, as we mentioned, so your date will be different than the example shown in this exercise. We're going to click on the plus new button and then select expense. But before we do that, again, that total is $24.38. My date here is showing as 9/19/23. Yours will be different based on the day that you are doing this exercise or watching this video. Just remember whatever the date is here, remember that, and then remember $24.38. So let's click on the plus new button up here and then under vendor select expense. And then let's go ahead and fill it out. The payee field is going to be Hicks Hardware. So click into there and then type in Hicks Hardware, select that. Now you'll notice that when you did that, there's already something that is pre-filled out for you, and that's from a previous transaction that QBO has filled in for us. So we are going to get rid of this by just clicking on the little trash can icon right here so that we have a clean slate on what we are doing. We'll start in the items detail grid because we know that Craig purchased 8 sprinkler pipes. The remainder must have been for the hammer. There is likely sales tax involved as well, but without the receipt, we don't know how much that was. Since it is such a small amount, we will include it in the cost of the hammer. So we're going to open up the items grid and then in the first line, select sprinkler pipes. So here's the category details area, and here is the items details. Again, it's an inventory item, so it goes in this item details section. Click into it, and I said sprinkler pipes. Yes. So start typing in sprinkler. Here's sprinkler pipes right there. Click onto that. And then the amount the quantity was 8. So click into here and type 8, hit the tab key over, and it's made a calculation for us. You'll notice that the rate did not change. It is always going to, and that's because QBO assumes that the cost was the same as it always is. We're going to assume the same thing since we don't have a receipt. So you'll notice here that QBO automatically calculated the total to be $20. Remember, the total was $24.38, and this means that the hammer must have cost $4.38. So we'll add that in the next step. In the payment date field, we need to enter the date of the Hicks Hardware bank transaction. Remember the date that was in the previous that I had mentioned that you needed to remember? We're going to enter that into the payment date. So scroll back up to the top here, the payment date, add it to whatever it was on your bank feed. Mine was September 19th. The category details grid, we're going to, in the category, select supplies. So again, the hammer is not an inventory item, and so that's why we're doing it in this grid versus this grid. So click into it 2 times and then start typing in supplies, and there it is right there for you. The description is going to be hammer, so type that in there. The amount we said was that $4.38, so go ahead and put that in the amount. Hit the tab key over, and now you see that the hammer and the sprinkler pipes are adding up to that $24.38. So now we simply just need to save and close. Click on the green Save and Close button. And it says that something's not quite right here. Select a date that's after the date you started tracking this inventory item. So that error message, it seems that the date that we entered is earlier than the day that Craig first started tracking this inventory product. So is he sure that this purchase is for sprinkler pipes? If so, we have a bit of a mess on our hands, and so we'll have to clean it up. We'll have to clean up all his historical inventory records, or at least for this particular product. Doing so is outside of the scope of this particular exercise, so we're just going to skip it for now. We're going to click on cancel and then click on yes when it asks us if we want to leave without saving. So there's a cancel button down here on the bottom left corner. I know my picture is over here, so if you can't see it, you can click it. Can't see me doing it right here. It is on the bottom left corner. There is also the X up here at the top right corner that you can click on to get out of this. It's going to ask you if you want to leave without saving, and the answer is yes. So we still have that one for Hicks Hardware, but that is going to be dealt with another day. We will have to investigate that a little bit later. So we're going to move on to the savings account. We're going to click on the savings tile. So click on that, and we see that there is one match found here. So this is a very easy one. All we need to do is just click on match. That will process all of the savings bank feeds, and that is it. We have processed the bank feeds for the day, the MasterCard, the checking, and the savings. And if you have any questions or want to know more about the QBO Gym, just go ahead and click on the link below in the description. Be sure to leave this session of the sample company open, as you will need it for the last exercise in the warm-up section, where we practice invoicing with accumulated charges. And I will see you in the next video.